but I'm also going to be making sure that we are actually live and we're not having any trouble and all that fun stuff. So we should be live now, and then everyone will actually see us in a couple seconds.
I like
all right.
Shirt.
So we are very much live. All right. So for everyone who's been waiting on us to join, sorry, we're a couple of minutes late here. And so thanks for everyone who made it. And I'm sure more people are going to be joining in. So if I look a little distracted for the next couple of seconds, that's because I am a little distracted because I'm going to go check out and make sure that YouTube looks right and LinkedIn looks right and Facebook looks right for the live stream. So bear with us for a moment and we will get everything up and running. Feel free, no matter what platform you're on, go ahead and ask any questions that you have and we can jump in. We do have a few topics that we're going to try to focus on today, but we are happy to answer any questions that roll in as well.
I think it's important to say that before we start that I'm wearing a hat because Bradley told me to.
I'm a big fan of hats. If anyone who's seen any of my content has probably noticed.
Is that the Talent Stacker hat?
Yeah, and I had a Salesforce hat before we got.
Yeah, I have a hat too.
My hat's
Nice.
on the wall.
Yeah, I was looking for my old trucker hat and I can't find it here. So
Mine's a Sim fishing hat.
I'll tell you, from the moment that I started the YouTube channel, I was fixing my hair, trying to get ready for a video, and I just put on a Salesforce hat, and it's been my efficiency play ever since. I mean, I swear it probably has saved me tens of hours.
I don't think I've ever seen a photo of you without a hat on.
Probably not.
No.
I'm just saying.
You'd have to dig deep.
Yeah, I mean, you and I are in the same club, so the hat, is an accessory, for us.
All right. Well, yeah, enough talk about hats. We're actually going to talk about Salesforce today, believe it or not.
We are? Crap.
Oh, sorry, Hugh. I didn't brief you on what we were doing today. Sorry about that. We'll just go ahead and kick it off. So I guess a quick intro would probably be a good idea. And I assume all these boxes look the same to all of you as they do to me. So I think most people hopefully know who I am. If you're here, if not, you're lost, and I'll let you know who I am. I created a company called Talent Stacker, and basically the whole goal of the company is to help people who want to transition into Salesforce Careers to land Salesforce jobs. I noticed there were a lot of people who had Salesforce certifications, but they couldn't land jobs. I noticed there were people who had no idea what Salesforce was, but they were stuck in jobs that they didn't enjoy. They had no potential to move forward in those careers, and they just felt stuck. And I was basically just, telling people about Salesforce as a career. And that turned into basically a Facebook group that got way too big, and I could not help everyone. And that's when sort of Talent Stacker was birthed, and decided to try to put something comprehensive together that could actually help masses land jobs instead of one person at a time. So that's me, and I'll pass it over to you, Stuart.
All right. So before actually joining the Talent Stacker group, I think I pinged both Anita and you with multiple questions about the program and what it really meant. It was really like a lot of people I think that you've heard from, they were interested in getting involved in Salesforce, may have tried it out on their own in terms of navigating through Trailhead and all that, but really didn't have a good compass and some good direction. So after getting some answers that I felt really comfortable with, I joined your program in mid-January. And like I said, during our video interview or whatever that's called, one of the best things is the nomenclature of this particular Talent Stacker group. It's a sub-Ohana. It's a very positive and supportive group, and that's I think the thing I enjoy most. Even on this panel here, before you even started, I think I talked with everybody directly except Eric. And so, it's really something where you really do have a lot of interaction with people in the group. I'm going to bounce it over to Hugh.
All right. So my story, I suppose, for those who don't know it, is I spent 16 years in truck driving after I got out of the military. And as evidenced by my shirt, I have a 6-year-old grandson who started thinking that because grandpa has to make money was not a valid reason for me to be gone. So it's time to start looking around. And a friend of mine, Angela, who was a major Salesforce evangelist, introduced me to it via VetForce. I came into the program actually already certified. And the thing the program did for me more than anything else was help with imposter syndrome and give me a methodology to help others, which is how I learned the best. So here I am. Got a great job, got a great career, and my work commute is about 20 steps at this point. Ashley, you're up.
My talent stacker experience began in January. I saw a link to the program on a friend's LinkedIn profile. Looked through it, gave it a shot. Didn't have any experience with Salesforce beforehand, but worked in automotive production, working long shifts on nights, and took the leap right into the Talent Stacker program, certified in 2 months, without a study group, I suppose. Although Stuart actually was my study buddy outside. I certified again in 2 months, landed a job not too long after that, and am now beating Hugh with 6 steps to my office. And I'm enjoying life.
Hey, listen, I need those extra 14 steps. Can't you tell? Okay, look.
Who's next?
Tanya.
Hi. So I was introduced to Salesforce back in, I think it was October last year, and I started down the Trailhead path. And I kept going and studying, but I found that I really lacked direction of what the next step was and how I would go about finding a job. My background is as a travel agent, and that was for 6 years prior. And before that, I spent about 10 years working on private yachts. So I was a stewardess on boats. So lots of customer service, and it was a completely different industry. And obviously that kind of fell apart in 2020. And I was actually ready to be leaving the travel industry. So I was studying, but kind of without a clear path of what the next steps would be and how did I go about finding a job within Salesforce. So it was mid-January when I made the decision to do the 5-day challenge. And when I looked back at my emails, I'd actually signed up for it at the end of October, but never followed through. So at that point, I did the 5-day challenge and decided that joining the career development program was the right steps for me. So I did that in the middle of January, which is when I joined a study group, which was a lot of fun. And I met most of the folks on this panel at that stage. And I actually was certified 3 weeks later and started the job hunt. So, yes, Jackie, you're next.
Hello, I'm Jackie. Basically, I started seeking a Salesforce career because I was looking for something different. I took a break from corporate America to tend to my 3 kids. And so I was just looking for something different to break back into, the workforce. And I saw Bradley's video and podcast. And I just said, you know what? Hey, I can do this. And I just kind of made Salesforce my life in a sense. And I was able to land a job, and I'm just grateful. Anita?
Anita, the celebrity, is up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Anita. I was impacted by the pandemic. I was working at a hotel at a convention center. So I was furloughed in 2020 and then finally laid off in October. And that's when I joined the program, got certified within a month. And yeah, it's been crazy ever since. The program has helped me so much. Like I still can't believe this is where I'm at now. I get to work remotely and Like work-life balance is amazing. It's just been an incredible experience so far. And actually, Eric was one of my study buddies in our original study group.
Very nice.
So yeah, you can take it away, Eric.
Yeah, can never forget that. So I've been out of school a few years. My background is in sort of a mix of management, sales, even IT recruiting. Somewhere along the way, I knew I wanted to be in the heart of the booming tech industry somehow without essentially selling it. I wanted to be part of building and configuring things like that, as well as all of the other selling points when I learned about Salesforce, the work-life balance. So I found Talent Stacker just looking for some kind of structured program, and so happy I did, and I'm really happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for the quick intro. So hopefully that will shed some light as questions roll in and you're giving feedback and answers. It'll give people at least a little bit of perspective about, sort of where you're coming from and where you're at now. So we've got the first question that sort of came in here that I think would, sort of feed a quality conversation is, what story did you tell about yourself? Did you tell yourself about getting a Salesforce job that turned out not to be true? So we all have these, what I sort of refer to as limiting beliefs, these things that stop us from moving forward. So I guess, and everyone doesn't have to answer. So just if you feel like this is something you'd like to answer, were there things about getting a Salesforce job or starting a Salesforce career that you just felt were too much to overcome? And then maybe that ended up not being so big of a hurdle after all.
I can go for that one right away. When I first started this, in my trucking career, I was making about $75,000 a year. And I knew, even with taking out road expenses, even with being home more often, everything else, I was going to have to make at least $65,000. Full stop. I'm the breadwinner. I've got wife, kids, grandkid that all live with me. I didn't think that was a shot in hell. I mean, a bottom of the totem pole type of deal. So I got certified as a hobby, just something to do because I fell in love with the idea of Salesforce. It became just, it was what I did instead of turn on YouTube. And when I went after my current job and I told them I need to make at least $65,000 a year, and they told me, oh, well, we actually pay this much, which turned out to be a good chunk higher. Oh, okay, well, cool, thanks. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do with this information, but yeah, sign me up.
I was a lot less worried. It sounds silly, about pay. I was more focused on other things like happiness, professional growth, continued learning and growing opportunities, and working with good teams. I had actually started, and I didn't mention in my intro, I'd actually started looking at Salesforce as a potential career. I think as early as 2018, late 2018, 2019 is actually when I started my Trailblazer account. So I was playing around with Trailhead at that particular point in time. Like Anita, COVID kind of shut down my business. I was a sales professional, worked for a very large Fortune 500 type company that serviced all the big companies in the world. But all my customers just went dormant in March of 2020. So I was lucky enough to survive to November 2020. And then I immediately, when you lose work, you start kind of freaking out just a little bit. I started interviewing with some similar companies and decided that just was not my path. And so after a little bit more thinking, late December, probably early January, is when I said, this is the time that I believe that I can go ahead, full head steam and take that dream of becoming a Salesforce professional. And that's why I made the commitment, because I like the tinkering and the programming portion of the Salesforce, but I also especially like, the human interaction. My background is in project management, customer service, and business development. So I'm used to working with humans. So I like that portion of my job. And at this particular point, that's probably my strength of what I do in my current job.
And for me, it was a completely different career. for sure. And we had just relocated down to Australia. We'd only been here since January 2020. So we arrived and then COVID hit, which I know is a big part of everybody's story. But my husband and I were both like, what happens next? How are we going to rebuild and what are we going to do with our lives? And I also had visions that I wanted to get into the tech industry as well. It was like, I've always loved everything to do with computers and technology. I know that one of my big frustrations as a travel agent was that we used multiple interfaces, and it was frustration. So when I was introduced to Salesforce, it was like, how have we not done this before? And how can I learn as much as I can, as quick as I can? And also, it was also about the growth when I was looking for a position. I wanted to work for a company that was going to teach me and invest in me and help me grow so that I could be really good at this, because I've had a few careers and I'm really enjoying this and hoping that it's going to be the one that I ride out all the way till the end.
I love that. My biggest fear going into it was just essentially, I mean, it's the stipulation of being in IT. Like, I don't come from a computer background. I can't really code as of this time. My experiences with people. And so just kind of getting through that and getting into the trail and talking to people and understanding how others have gotten into it, kind of just taking it step by step, has all been really helpful.
I thought that I would have to go through more application processes and interviews and just carry that dreaded amount of weight. But for me, I landed my role by networking, and I think that's probably the most valuable tip that I've taken away, is to network into that role, because it can be done. And for those of you that are new to Salesforce, there are companies out there that are willing to invest in you, but you have to show that you are willing and ready to learn and to continue to learn and give value to their organization.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Ashley. That is so true.
Oh, yes, very much.
Yeah, I was going to say, I like barely submitted any applications.
Yeah.
I didn't either.
Same here. My role was actually, I introduced myself to someone and it just snowballed from there. Now, Talent Stacker helped a ton, but the person I introduced myself before I joined Talent Stacker. So networking played a massive role in that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so if you guys don't mind, I think we're sort of coming up on a theme here, and there's been a few questions like, how did you get your first job? And I think we're moving into that arena now. And I think what we're all touching on is networking, and I think that term gets thrown around a lot, right? In these very, you're reading a job post or maybe an article about how to land a job, and it's like, oh, you need to network. Or you talk to some college professor about how to get a job, and they're like, oh, make sure you're networking. But nobody actually tells each other what networking means, and it's different in every industry. And in Salesforce, it's actually not that chaotic, and it's really not that convoluted. So would anybody, I can talk about this all day, but what do we mean when we say networking? Like, what kind of things are we talking about? Because I think that's a huge takeaway for the audience today is, I'm looking for a job and I need to network. So what do I do?
So I would say, first off, the biggest thing is to get yourself out there. I'm not generally a person who likes to reach out and say, hey, look at me, despite appearances to contrary sometimes. But what I did was I found a fairly high up person at Salesforce and said, hey, I've got this, this, and this. And I fully expected them to just blow me off, be like, hey, cool, whatever. Instead, they actually had a 45-minute conversation with me and then, passed my information along to 2 or 3 other companies. 2 of them didn't pan out. 1 of them did. That's where I'm at now. The other thing I would say is, don't be afraid to reach out to anyone and everyone you can. And that goes for people that are further ahead than you in the transition, people that are coming up behind you. your peers, whatever the case may be. Reach out and talk. You know, you have to be aggressive is the wrong word, but you have to be willing to put yourself out there. And occasionally you're going to, ruffle feathers the wrong way, or you're going to look like an idiot. Oh, well, that's all par for the course. You roll with it and you keep on going.
I agree with that. I mean, you definitely have to be intentional because you know where you want to be. So you have to, seek others that are in those positions and learn from them. And then also build your network of people that are on the same path as you. And, you don't necessarily have to be wanting something in that moment. You just want to be surrounded by people that are on your same path. So.
The first person that I reached, sorry, Bradley.
No.
I was just going to say
ahead.
the first person that I reached out to was with Talent Hub, Ben, down here in Sydney. And we talked for about 20 minutes on the phone, and he was just the first person that I could find that was local that I could look to for direction of what's Salesforce happening. How is it happening here in Australia? What's the job market like? And how would you recommend, what steps should I take to get into this world? And he was amazing. We talked out of the blue. I called him and he gave me about 20 minutes or half an hour. And he just really said, this is what you need to do. And these are the people you need to connect with. And getting certified definitely is the first step. And that brings it back to networking, which is exactly, I think that's where we all have started from there.
I agree with Jack and Tanya as well. Just putting yourself in the right place at the right time. Sorry, Eric, I stepped on your toes. But for me, there's so many different events that Salesforce has to connect people that have the similar interests. I participated in the nonprofit event that they had and connected with so many people that are in the same arena that I wanted to be with. And the way that I connected with my position was just reaching out to somebody that worked in that arena and asked, this is where I'm at. This is my background. What can I do to get where I'm going? And be super intentional about where you want to be.
One of the best places to network that I know of is the local Trailblazer groups. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. There's multiple groups here. I participate mostly in 2, but sometimes visit 3, and they're great resources. They're a great group to hang out with. Eventually, when restrictions lift a little bit more, I'm sure that they'll have in-person, but the virtual events are great. I've gotten a heck of a lot of support. I was going through a pretty rough week last week, and my first week on the job, and had a Trailblazer meeting on Saturday, and it was great for me. It really was. I got all kinds of support. So I suggest to people to look for Trailblazers groups. You don't need to be certified to join them. And you'll get an opportunity to talk with people who are in the ecosystem with experiences of all different levels and experiences to share with you.
I'm going to rebut one part of that, Stuart. One of the, I suppose, positives, if there can be one, of the COVID aspect is that a lot of these groups went pure virtual. If you're not fitting in with your local, go find another one. It doesn't really matter anymore.
That's true.
Absolutely.
That's true.
A lot of the groups they won't exclude you just because you're not in the area, or like I'm in very southern Indiana. I'm not really close to anything. So when I didn't find that my local group didn't meet very often, I reached out to Indianapolis, Chicago, and just explained, hey, can I join your group? I'd love to see what's going on.
I agree with all of that. Absolutely. And there's also that great group that Bradley talked to out in Phoenix, I think. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Trailblazer groups, Salesforce Saturdays are all really helpful. I think one good thing to keep in mind for like specific advice is not to overthink it. Don't reach out to everyone and say, hey, you got any jobs? Because they don't know you. That doesn't work. But also don't feel like you have to give something every time. Just, it's like meeting someone in a coffee shop. Maybe find some kind of connection, something on their profile. Hey, I noticed you're in CPQ. This is what I've done. This is what I want to do. Do you got any tips? And a lot of times people just like that you cared enough to ask about it, and they'll be like, yeah, let's have a conversation. And whether it's advice or they know someone, that's how it all starts. So.
My favorite thing about the Salesforce is the Ohana, and that everybody is in the giving. How can I help you accomplish, what you need to do? And there were so many people that, I just reached out just to have a conversation with, even if it was something that I wasn't necessarily interested in. Maybe I could point somebody in the right direction and help them out. But I mean, ultimately, the network and the community around Salesforce is 100% why I'm here.
I will say that reaching out to people and say, hey, give me a job is not the way to go. One of the best ways you can talk to somebody is, think about it this way. Salesforce, if you look at Salesforce kind of like a hobby or a culture or something along those lines, it's something we're all in. Approach it from the idea of, you're meeting up with a fellow Salesforce nerd and you're chatting about it, whatever. The other thing is, look for ways for you to help yourself. So, if I'm going up to, let's say, Bradley, say, hey, I would really love to learn about field service lightning or something along those lines. Do you have anything, do you have a way I can really lock in on that? He's going to be very much willing to help me out with that. Probably point me in the right direction, maybe point me to some other experts, which may open another door, and so on and so forth. But if I were to go up to him and say, hey, I want to learn field service, like, tell me everything.
Yeah.
That's not really the way to approach it. So you have to be willing, you have to be a bit of a self-starter when you're networking as well.
Yeah. So I think to sort of wrap up this conversation, it's, networking is very much about being on LinkedIn, being in your local Trailblazer communities. In any time you can interact with other Salesforce professionals, even like you mentioned, if they're behind you in the process, you could be at your first job looking to level up and maybe get a promotion or maybe move to a company that you aspire to work for. And you can talk to people who are behind you, who are in front of you. It's a lot about immersing yourself in the Salesforce Ohana or this community culture, and just being part of it, and like truly being part of it, not trying to get in there and just take something out of it, like get your job and then leave. It's becoming part of it, and you'll feel it. When you get inside, you will feel it, that you're helping people, they're helping you. And when you reach out to people, I mean, I think pretty much everyone made this point. When people message me on LinkedIn and they're like, hey, Brad, get me a job. It's like, come on. Like, I'm not mad at you, but come on, like, I'm not going to help you, right? Like, there are ways to go about this. Or you could say, I looked at all this material. I've been doing X, Y, Z. Does that feel like, do you feel like I'm on the right path? Am I doing the right things here? And I'm happy to help. I'm pretty sure anyone who has messaged me on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, you will know, like, I respond to you. I try to reply to every single message, and I'm happy to help as much as I can. But the point being is that, that there is a little bit of psychology to networking as well. And people like to feel that they're valued. People like to feel that they're respected. They like to think that you care about them as a person, or that you respect them as a person. So if you come to me and you first start off with like, hey, Brad, I see what you're doing for the community. It's an amazing thing. I saw that video you did on XYZ, and boy, that really changed things for me. Hey, do you know any tips on this particular topic? That's world of difference when you walk in the door and approach it that way. So I definitely appreciate everyone chiming in there. So there are quite a few questions about imposter syndrome. So we're going to have to tackle that. And I know in the actual post, we had a few topic ideas, but I see the questions coming in, and I want to make sure that the audience gets, what they're looking for. So we have a few questions about imposter syndrome. And so I want to couple that with sort of a question to say, let's try to tackle two topics at once almost, because we're getting a lot on these two different topics. But it's how, when every company in the world wants experience on the job description, everybody wants experience, but then you can't get experience because everybody wants experience. It's the classic issue. And on top of that, even if you don't have experience, you're going to feel like an imposter. And even with a certain level of experience, you're going to feel like an imposter. So how do you bridge this gap between, number one, the experience that the employers want in order to hire you, and then the experience that you want in order to not feel like an imposter anymore? And how do you overcome those obstacles?
For me, I think, in terms of the interview process, like being able to express, what very well. Salesforce is huge, right? So you're not going to know everything, but you need to be able to come across and show that you know what you're doing. Now, in terms of when you're on the job and you feel as if you can't do it, well, there's always going to be a next thing you don't know. It's never going to stop. You're always going to be learning. So you have to be okay with where you are in that moment. And you just know, hey, a few months later, I'll be past that.
I think another important thing is when you're interviewing, this was my first job in the Salesforce HANA, and the only experience I had was through Trailhead or any projects that I put together myself, building my own org, and then it was the internal Talent Stacker project. That was my only real life experience working in a group. So that definitely helped me, but also I was very honest in any interview I had of what my experience was and where I was at. But I think it was also very obvious that I was excited and that I was committed to the project and to learning and for this to be my career. And I was giving everything that I had to make it happen, like self-educating and just being a part of it and immersing. So I think if you make that obvious, and then any potential job, that they're going to know exactly where you're at, and that helps to overcome that imposter syndrome.
Yeah, Tanya. Sorry.
Go ahead, Anita.
I was gonna say Tanya hit it right on the nose. Like don't ever lie. For me, I was really honest about my experience. I think my boss was more impressed that I came from a different industry and I was able to learn and get certified so quickly. That shows a lot to potential employers that like you have the drive, and even if you don't know something, you know how to learn it or you can figure it out. So that gives them confidence.
Everything you guys are saying is everything my coworkers tell me every day. You're not going to learn. If you don't know it, ask. We will help you.
I'm going to piggyback off of Tanya. First off, show that enthusiasm. Look, we all know how to get to Trailhead. We all know how to learn. We hopefully all to some degree or another know how to research. And that's always going to be a thing. Salesforce is such a massive platform. You are never going to be an expert. And if you are, you need to hang up the keys and do something else. Secondly, don't lie, but also don't sell yourself short when it comes to transferable skills. The ability to dissect problems, the ability to manage your time. All these soft skills are transferable to Salesforce. Salesforce is a platform. But one of the things that I was taught is that we are solving business problems. We're not solving technology problems. Technology is a methodology to solve the business problem, but we are solving business problems. We are actually working to further business and human goals. And with that comes a lot of transferable soft skills. So keep those in mind. Lastly, I'll say get out there and build your own org. You don't just think just because it's not for an employer, it's not going to count. Build your own stuff. Find a passion, build it in Salesforce. Anybody who I talked to on LinkedIn has heard me talk about that ad freaking nauseum. But build it. Make it work. And just go with it. Apply. Look, all these job applications are going to say minimum 3 years experience. So apply. What's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to tell you no. Okay. And you keep going.
Yeah, I think it's probably safe to say that I'm the most experienced professional in this group on this panel right now. As I start my videos, you can tell by my white beard that I've been around for just a little bit. And I think one of the things that I know right now is I'm only in the second week of my job is that I didn't expect the transition to be as challenging, nervous. I got all kinds of levels of anxiety. all kinds of, it's a roller coaster for me right now in terms of the things that I feel from minutes to hours to, that kind of thing. But one thing that I know is that I'm going to work really hard to be a really good admin. And I expect that my skills will expand exponentially. But I think right now it's more of the passion and the desire. I mean, I don't know if a lot of professionals in my age group would say that they're really excited to learn and grow. And that's what I am. I'm really excited about learning more about what I can do in this particular platform and how I can help other people. I think I never asked them, but I'm assuming that those transferable skills that I learned in project management and business development and sales are something that is definitely a strength right now versus my platform skills, because I need to bring those up.
Yeah, I agree with everything everyone's saying. I think the most important thing is the mindset. Got to have that growth mentality. As soon as you have a fixed mindset, you're just going to stagnate and get stale, whether you're on Trailhead or you're watching videos, reading help documentation, doing projects. Go find some buddies and study for a certification exam, or do a project, or like you said, do your own org, build your own org. With any of those things, if you're feeling imposter syndrome, think of it, just twist that, acknowledge that you're uncomfortable, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and know that that's where you're going to grow, and that's where that experience is going to come from. Like, that's some of the most important stuff. So.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable enough just to start a new job. Starting a new career makes it a little bit more uncomfortable, but uncomfortable is going to lead to growth.
Yeah, you just got to accept you won't ever know everything.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I definitely want to let you guys tell the whole story today, but I'll just say I'm rapidly approaching 11 years as a Salesforce professional, and imposter syndrome is still real. Like, most people know I do freelance consulting on the side, and that's mainly just to keep my skills sharp and to make sure that I'm aware of what's going on in the ecosystem, because I do enjoy the work. I just don't necessarily enjoy doing it, 40 plus hours a week. There are other things I want to focus on, like the program and helping people, not just businesses. And imposter syndrome is still real for me. It was real for me when I had a year of experience, when I had 3 years of experience, and it's still real today. When you walk into a business, as Hugh mentioned, the technology is just the method for solving the business problems. So there are going to be new business problems that you've never seen before. You're going to work in industries that you've never seen before. You're going to hear about processes you've never heard about before. You might know Salesforce really, really well, but you have to be able to use it to solve these problems that you've never seen in your life. You didn't even know they existed. And then here someone is talking to you about them. And guess who knows more about this problem than you? Every time. The person you're serving, the client, the customer. If I were to walk into, Ashley's old, company, and it was a manufacturing, facility streamlining, building automobiles, I'm lost. Like, you can tell just from the way I introed that, I'm lost. And they're going to sit down and tell me what their problems are. And they're going to tell me why their business processes have these pain points in them when they're manufacturing cars. And I'm going to go, oh my gosh, I just need to listen. And then over time, you are able to transfer that into, okay, now how does Salesforce solve this problem? Now let me implement a solution for that. You're always going to feel like an imposter. And I think imposter syndrome is used a little bit generically, right? Like, I think it's one thing to know that you're not going to know everything, like Anita said. You're never going to know everything. It's 100% true. And the fact that you're feeling that nervousness hopefully means you're going to try that much harder. And I know you guys lost my camera, but we'll live with that. I hope that it means you're going to try that much harder to overcome whatever this obstacle is and give it 100%. And for me, that meant maybe some sleep, not sleepless nights, but some late nights and some early mornings, figuring out, researching, learning what to do to be a little bit better at my job. And when you do that for 6 months and a year and 2 or 3 years, you end up getting pretty darn good at it. So don't think that feeling's ever going away. You're always going to be on your heels, but you do get more confident.
I think will. Oh, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, I think one of the biggest challenges that I have is that we can only learn so quickly. And there's nothing I can do I'm doing everything I can to make the process go faster. But I can only go at that speed. I can't I can't absorb it any quicker than I'm already trying. So you just have to take it one day at a time and trust that your knowledge is building and your skills are growing. And yeah.
Also, I will say, be wary of conceit. However, also keep in mind that in Bradley's example, going into Ashley's old job and manufacturing thingies that put doodads together. I don't know anything about this. There is a reason why they hired you as the Salesforce consultant. They don't know anything about Salesforce. That's why you're there. So, yes, be cognizant of the fact that you probably still have stuff to learn. You're going to have to research, but also be aware that you know Salesforce, you know the fundamentals, and you know how to find solutions to the problems that you're facing, even if you don't actually know what those solutions are right now. And let that guide you. Don't let yourself get frozen.
Yeah, I agree. And I think sometimes people trip up thinking they need to know the answer like that as soon as someone tells the problem. And I probably beat this quote to death, but Salesforce is half the solution. The other half is understanding fully and really asking those probing questions like, okay, so that's bothering you. Like, can you tell me more about what the problem is? Just fully understanding what the problem is going to help you kind of formulate that solution.
To quote G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you guys are you guys are spot on. And I see a comment here from Rich, who's definitely in the community and always willing to help out. He says 80% of the time it's defining requirements and aligning with people, and that's definitely true. You know, I worked with a lot of consultants, and the worst consultants in the world are the ones who were eager to get in Salesforce and build and develop and customize. And the best consultants in the world are those who were ready to listen and understand and leave Salesforce out of it until it was time to actually get in there and do something. All right, so let's talk a little bit about, keeping the audience in mind. We likely have a lot of people here who are still working on landing that Salesforce job. And that means they are probably spending a lot of time in Trailhead. And we all have different feelings about Trailhead and the experience we've had there. I think somebody from the group, I can't remember right now, posted on LinkedIn today, and they said there's sort of this ironic situation with Trailhead where there's all these pretty mascots and you're getting confetti falling, and it's also light and pretty, and you get a 50 on the quiz, but then it's okay because you just select another answer and try again, and it's all just so enjoyable, reasonably enjoyable. You do come up against your challenges, but you can overcome them fairly quickly. And then Salesforce is like, hey, take this exam, and if you don't pass, we're going to tell you fell, and it's going to rip your heart out. And it is this really amazing contrast that occurs. So I really enjoyed that post because I've never looked at it that way, but it's very true. But anyway, you guys have all spent a fair amount of time on Trailhead, and let's talk a little bit about what happens when you go from Trailhead to the real world. And I saw a couple of questions about, now that you guys are all working Salesforce jobs, how much are you leaning on Trailhead? How much of what you learned on Trailhead do you feel like is implemented into your jobs? And then, of course, keeping in mind that we just agreed that probably more than half the job is not in Salesforce. So this should be interesting. But I would like to know sort of what your relationship is with Trailhead now and how you feel it benefited you outside of that shiny certification.
I think Trailhead allowed you to know like what's possible, right? So if you don't know what's possible, you have no way of, or no way to, solve the problem. So, as long as you know what's possible, and then you can go back to Trailhead and look up the answer, then you're golden. But like we said before, the hard part is understanding the business and the business process, and then everything else is online to figure out.
I would say Trailhead is the fundamentals. That is your baseline. So you learn something, you get your certification. Now you're ready to actually go out in the real world and actually start really learning. For anyone who's been in the military, equate it to boot camp. That's what Trailhead is. It's just basically, okay, you have a good baseline, a good fundamental building block. Now you can go out and start actually learning how it works in the real world. To your other question, Bradley, how much of it do we use or how much do we rely on it? I will say for my purposes, or for speaking for myself, I rely far more on my colleagues, my peers, things of that nature than I do Trailhead at this point. I'm getting ready to go up for my Service Cloud, and most of what I'm learning in my Service Cloud has been a bit of testing my knowledge on Focus on Force, but it's mostly talking to my peers who have already gotten the certification or working with the aspects of Service Cloud that, you know, are currently in what I'm doing and that type of thing. There's no substitute for real world experience.
I like how Jackie put it, that Trailhead shows us the possibility of what we can achieve. And I really think that, because I might listen to a problem and have to dig deep and be like, I know there's something that we can do to solve this, but there's so much, I can't remember all of it right now or how to do it immediately. But I know the possibilities and I know how to find the answers. And I think that's the key.
Yeah, I've definitely slowed down with earning badges since I started working. So I'll use Trailhead when I try to attempt to get another certification, or like when I want to research a new topic that I have no idea about and I want something to explain it to me like I'm 5, I'll use Trailhead for that. But general work purposes, I'm usually troubleshooting something very specific. So I'll just Google that and use the different sites and different forums to help find those answers. So yeah, Trailhead's only for like broad new topics, really.
I use documentation quite a bit with mine, coming from consulting specific to the nonprofit industry. We use NPSP, but then we also build on top of that with the case management module, program management module. So mine is still like in-depth learning and applying how those work, and then building custom on top of that.
I am a
Awesome.
big fan of YouTube as well. In addition to all those, just watching someone do it in front of you, like, I think it's probably my favorite.
That's my first hit every time I have to research something new, especially flows still.
And this talk is not sponsored by YouTube. All right, so okay, so perfect. So I think that gives some insight, and I think most people probably felt that way, or at least they had an inkling that was probably true. And I like the way that some of you put it of, you go back to Trailhead for that broad knowledge when it's like, I know nothing about this. There's a trail on it. Let me go hop in. If you're looking for that specific knowledge, you're probably asking in forums or looking for threads in forums or Googling it and hoping you find a knowledge article or something along those lines. So we had I guess one thing I wanted to mention is the first manager I ever had, my junior Salesforce role, where my title was junior Salesforce admin, but I still didn't know what Salesforce was. And the first manager I ever had, Jeff Richards, he told me, it's not about knowing how to do everything. It's about knowing what's possible and then knowing how to use your resources to go figure out how the heck to do it, because you knew it was possible. So now go figure it out. So I think that just sort of summarizes what everyone else has already said. So we've got a lot of, I'll say a lot. We've got a handful of questions coming in here about the types of Salesforce roles, and specifically the difference between consulting jobs and being internal at a company. So I guess if you don't mind, raise your hand if you are a consultant right now. All right. Okay, cool. So about half of us. So it looks like we've got 3 that are not and 4 that are. So this is a pretty good divide here. So I guess for those of you who are consultants, what is your perspective or perception on the difference between what you're doing as a consultant and sort of how that differs from what you think you might have seen in an internal role? And then we'll let the internal roles talk about, sort of the way they see things and how that differs from consulting.
For me, I'm a business analyst and I work at a consulting company. But all business analysts, they don't do the same thing. So essentially, I'm working with multiple clients, 3 to 4 clients, on a project. And then depending on the project, I could be doing majority of the configuration. I could be doing QA or, just note taking during discovery sessions. So, you're getting a vast amount of experience in different products, Sales Cloud, CPQ, service. I mean, it's just a ton at one time. So that's what I do.
Jackie, I have the same role as you. That's it. I'm in and out of different, you have a lot of exposure as a business analyst. It's such a great learning role.
I will say, me personally, I am on a single project because the project I'm on is absolutely freaking massive. But by and large, business analyst is a great way to get broad, probably slightly shallower knowledge, but definitely much broader knowledge than I would think a nuts and bolts admin internal role would be. Now, I've never worked internal, so feel free to dispute that, but that's my perception.
My situation's kind of where I work for a consultancy, but like I'm on the SOW for the client for 40 hours a week. So it's a weird hybrid of the two.
You and I are doing about the same thing.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, yeah.
So I've done.
Go ahead, Eric.
Sure, thanks. So I've done both. I was in managed services, so essentially an admin, like mostly like an admin type role, but with basically 4 or 5 clients. So now I'm at a startup that's very early stage. I'd say the biggest difference is like you're going to log into maybe 3 or 4 different orgs in one day, and you're going to have to quickly shift to, okay, different industry, different size, different problems, and then just knowing that you have to be on point with what did you get done each hour because you're billed by the hour. Now, in my current internal role, it's still fast paced, especially being early stage and figuring out like what the systems are going to look like and painting that picture. But you don't have someone telling you what it should look like. Essentially, like I have a boss and I have stakeholders telling me like security concerns and things like that. So I kind of know the expectation, but I don't have like a senior Salesforce guy kind of over my shoulder telling me like, you should do it like this, or this is how you handle your work. So that's just some of the differences.
That's an interesting perspective, Eric. I like that. Just going from consulting to your own org, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's very challenging juggling the different projects in multiple sandboxes, even within, because once you go into the testing, you'll be using the sandboxes there and just trying to time manage, which is probably the biggest skill that's been transferred.
Eric, I've got a question for you. Going based off what you said, would you say one of the real similarities between consultancy role and internal role is that you're still just doing discovery on business process and whatnot like that, because you're the one who's building all this stuff, or part of a team building it, versus whether you're dealing with just a customer or dealing with your own internal stakeholders, you still have to go through the discovery and figuring out business process goals, right?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So essentially, you should view it as an internal consultant when you're an admin. Especially, I just saw an article the other day about it's all about sales ops now. You're not just a software admin anymore, especially because Salesforce touches everything. Like technically, my title is operations analyst because I talk to every single team at the company, and most of which doesn't even know what the possibilities are. So for example, I'm just about to finish my first month and it's still mostly discovery. I'm doing like small little support tickets and a lot of fast things to just kind of support the sales teams and get marketing off the ground. But I'm also ongoing interviews with everyone in the company to kind of understand what's the next 6, 12, 18 months going to look like. Because essentially, you know, I'm on operations, but essentially like you're a department of one, especially if it's like such an early stage startup. So, yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, it's a lot of the things are similar, just a different format, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I can tell you that I'm on an internal team. We have 3 members that are in the CRM team, part of the sales operation team. And even though we're internal, we are consultants. We have a lot of stakeholders in our business. We do a lot of discovery as we're trying to figure out what they need to get out of the instance as we try to put this whole thing together so the organization can take advantage of this particular platform. So we have one overriding customer, but a bunch of different customers under that umbrella from different departments, different stakeholders. And I think I told that to everyone except Bradley.
Apparently, he doesn't love you anymore.
Yeah, I never did, honestly. So
I'm still here, just trying to shield people from my struggling camera.
Yeah, I mean, I'll know more. I mean, I'm only a week and a half in. I'm drinking from the fire hose. I'm fortunate enough to have a very skilled boss. The work that she's put together in presentations and things like that is admirable. So I'm excited in that particular portion of the job.
I can so relate to the drinking from the fire hose aspect.
Yeah.
I love it.
I went in waves. I drank and then I was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get the hang of it. Nope.
Anita, if you remember when you first got your job, I'd reach out to you and say, hey, are you treading water? Are you swimming? And I was thinking about the other day and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah. I'm constantly worried that I'm missing something important.
Yes.
I think I don't know who it was earlier, but yeah, it's just I know it's going to settle down, and I'll eventually get into the stream of things.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I love it when I get the private messages that come through, like, how are you doing? Are you okay over there? You never know what kind of response you're going to get, especially in the first few weeks of a job.
Yeah, I think you're referring to me, Tanya. I think last week.
There's been different people along the path.
Yeah, I'm going through the same thing, man. Like, the important thing is just keep talking to everyone, just trying to process it and just keep pushing forward. Like, I get other people from other teams just in my company just randomly like, how you holding up? Like, you probably have a lot going on. Like, yeah. So it's just like, I don't know, prioritize and just keep pushing, basically.
Well, like I said earlier, it's the adjustment of not only a career change, but just being I'm also in the tech world now, which is completely different for me. So there's a lot of changes that I'm going through that I'm trying to assimilate. So yeah, it's an interesting, fun ride right now.
I will say this. Once you get that job, when you're in the process of onboarding, especially if you have an extended onboard procedure like I did, and I think Anita, you did as well, to an extent, a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Anyways, get some kind of app on your phone or some way to actually document on the side, separate from everything else, your list of stuff to do that you need to accomplish, be it the legal paperwork, be it the benefits, be it certain, internal classes you need to take, whatever the case may be. Because otherwise you're going to be sitting there thinking, okay, did I do crap? I don't remember if I did this or not. Let me rifle through all this stuff, only find out, yeah, you did it last week. You just brain purged since then because fire hose. So get something external to all of that to make note of everything that you need to do and check it off. That way you have your peace of mind and you don't have those little mini panic attacks.
Yeah, but also remember to ask people when you're introducing yourself and having interviews between people. You gotta ask stuff because I'm 6 months in and I'm still finding stuff that I was like, oh, this would have been helpful.
I ask nobody. Google is my friend. I am an island.
I could probably ask more. Yeah.
I think
Can
we
we,
all could.
Yeah, can we talk about that? I don't know if we should be talking about specific tools or whatever, or how that looks, but like, what is everyone using? Because I know you want to document everything you're doing. Obviously, there's help text and descriptions, but when you're doing your full audit, like, is there anything that you would recommend?
So for me, in my role, we have a full internal suite that we're using. It involves Capado, our own Salesforce instance, that type of stuff. You know, that's going to, like I said, we're massive though. So that's going to vary from, you know, depending on how big you are and what your suite, what your budget is.
Yeah, my org is, I'm in a small part of it, but there's like over 10K users. It's insane. And they're like, it would be a lifetime to document everything in there.
Right. Yeah, I hear you. Like, I know the importance of it, and I've been doing things on just like regular documents. I'm evaluating a couple, like, one thing like different departments have here is like they have a lot of different tools that they're using for project management and note taking that don't really work together. I don't know, like, is it something that I just need? Should it be published for everyone else? Like when I publish trainings and things like that, that's sort of the things that I'm looking at to evaluate.
Well, I would say this, pick a tool and settle on it. So be it G Suite, be it Microsoft Suite, be it, you know, Atlassian, whatever case may be, choose one paradigm, you know, one major corporation, if you will, and stick with it, learn it, love it, make it your precious, and work that way. And worst case scenario, you have your own private warehouse of stuff you can go to. Best case scenario, everyone else sees what you're doing and they're like, oh wow, this is awesome, let's all adopt it. You have one continual paradigm, but you have to pick something. You know, I'm a G Suite guy, so that's what we use.
Yeah, we're using Jira and Confluence and slowly trying to get everyone to document. I mean, I have my own personal, I'm just switching from OneNote to Notion for my personal stuff.
What? You abandoned OneNote?
OneNote was that's like your one thing. What are you saying?
That was your precious.
Notion has some cool things, okay?
No. We all have mental images of you holding that purple notebook going, yeah, no.
I don't know. I've been pretty like surprised and impressed with Notion so far. I'm really enjoying it. But yeah, like document anything, like just put yourself in the future admin shoes. Like, hey, you know, I think like I would have appreciated having this documentation. I wish like the boss person like wrote more detailed instructions or clear instructions of what happened. So, you know, just, I don't know, common courtesy or office courtesy, and pay it forward and just document as much as you can to be the most helpful to the future person.
Agreed.
Awesome. Yeah, you guys are great. I was not aware of the OneNote, the dedication to OneNote. So sorry about that OneNote.
That must have come through in study groups, Anita.
That's right.
You realize Microsoft's stock just dropped like 25%, right?
Right. We are clearly not sponsored by Microsoft.
I don't have Elon pool, but okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Give it a week.
We are all investing heavily in Bitcoin.
It's on sale right now.
They actually just crashed, so if you want to buy,
yeah, I know it's on sale right now. Buy it now.
Buy all of it now.
Also, please don't listen. We're not giving out financial advice.
Before people actually think we're investing in Bitcoin, we may or may not. We have no idea what each other are doing. All right. Okay. So back to the topic at hand. All right. So number one, to all the people who have joined, I'm well aware that we're 5 minutes over now. To everyone here on the panel, feel free to drop if you need to. It will not hurt our feelings, but I will hang out and talk about a few more things. And you guys are welcome to as well. So I do have one question that is selfishly, I want everyone that we have here to answer. And somebody asked, what the heck is the Talent Stacker program and what is that about? So I'm going to make sure to get that one answered, because we are definitely sponsored by Talent Stacker.
Yes, and if you want to use my affiliate code, I can share it with you.
I think when I signed up, I sent Bradley an email and said, make sure that Anita gets credit for this.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think I really push it. So that's something we discussed, I think, in that interview that we do, right? In terms of what does Talent Stacker, what is it? For me, I use certain aspects of it. I didn't use other certain aspects of it. But what I do use, and I think I expect to continue using, is just the relationships that I've established in this particular group. I'm not the most socially active, but I think people know me from when I say awesome sauce, right? For all the good things that people do, all their successes. I share my awesome sauce with them and let them know that I'm here to help them if they ever need it. And I certainly reached out to some of our team members for help as well. Hugh spent, I think, an entire weekend with me once. I was almost going to camp out in his backyard for the help that he provided me. So that's what I get out of this, and I hope to be able to give back to this program.
I mean, we've got a fairly nice backyard. We even got a swing, so it's got cushions and everything. Weather probably sucks, but hey, whatever.
Yeah, it's a little hot.
Yep.
So for me, Talent Stacker did a couple of things. As I stated before, I came in pre-certified, so it wasn't necessarily about following the 13th step, I think it is now, course or whatnot like that. It was more for me about networking. I am not a social butterfly, and I needed someplace other than LinkedIn or Trailblazer community where I'm surrounded by all these people that are way up here and I'm way down here, and I don't think I can contribute to the conversation. Talent Stacker was a group of my peers, and there were people that knew a lot more than me, Anita. There were people who knew a little bit less than me. Okay, fine. But I could help out where I could help out in a more relaxed social network. That's one of the big differences between LinkedIn and Facebook. Facebook is more laid back. It's micro Ohana. I won't say anything goes, but anything Salesforce oriented goes. And you can just feel like you can, in lean back mode and just chat, as opposed to LinkedIn where you have to be so intentional and so business first. And that's the biggest thing I got out of Talent Stacker. And it's also what motivated me to make some of the posts I did on LinkedIn, which I'm fairly sure is what helped me get my job as well. So it was more of a domino effect for me, but Talent Stacker was extremely helpful in that way.
I'll tell you, I forgot to add, Hugh, that in my interview process at the very end stage, I was asked about this particular group. And I actually said, I didn't bring up your name, of course. I provided your address, but I was just giving an idea of the type of members that we had and their success stories. And I got a big, are you kidding me? That's amazing story about our group has people from all different industries, races, creeds, whatever. I don't know what the list is anymore, but a lot of really good people, right? And we support each other, and that's cool.
Yeah.
For me, Talent Stacker just made that transition into a new career just so much easier. And I have to be careful when I say easier because it was not easy. Okay, it required tons of work.
Yeah.
However, it made it possible, okay? Because you could dream of doing anything, but if you don't have a roadmap, you just may not succeed. So, for me, it kind of laid out everything that was needed. A lot of people in my family thought I was nuts, I was so forth. But, I knew that just listening to Brad, that it was definitely possible. And I continued to say that in my head, I can do it. I could do it, because initially I was looking up like tech careers for my kids, right? Never thinking that could be something that I could do, right? So, it's just amazing once you have a roadmap, what you can do.
Yeah, Jackie hit it on the nose. I just needed guidance, and I got so much more. I got like a really cool Ohana. And the support, it really does help, because you're going through these modules and like I feel like I'm not learning anything, and I'm like almost done with the trail mix. Like, so having that support and the guidance and the structure really helped a lot, because even now I'm I'm struggling with learning because I don't have a pacing guide for what I'm studying for.
Anita pinned that. I want to come back to that about the modules and badges and whatnot like that. I've got some commentary on what I think there.
You can go on. I'm done.
No, I want to hear what Ashley and Eric have to say
okay.
about the program.
Talent Stacker for me was a guided approach to learning and career pivoting. But I think the most important thing is that it is a tool. You got to bring the motivation. It's not going to work itself.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put all my money in the Talent Stacker bag. You got to bring like yourself, your personality, your interests, your motivation, and your dedication to where you want to go.
Yeah, it's like my daughter Evelyn said on the video last week. It's it's going to be all right, but not too all right. Like we're here to help, and we're going to facilitate this process, but you got to do something too. So it's not just no one hands. And I've had people say this, that are interested in the program. And they say, "Am I guaranteed to get a job?" And of course, the answer is no, right? Because and that's I'm the worst salesman in the world, right? Because it's like, am I guaranteed to get a job? I can't guarantee that you're going to follow the program. I can't guarantee you're ever going to get certified, because you don't want to do what it takes to pass the test and make a 65 on it to get that passing score. I can't guarantee you're going to show up for interviews and use the advice and actually do well. I can't guarantee that you're going to be in your volunteer project and actually help with the team and actually provide what is needed. I can't guarantee anything, but what I can guarantee you, and Anita knows this, I always tell everybody this, I can guarantee you, if you follow the program step by step, you are going to be in the best possible position to get a Salesforce job. Does that mean you're going to get one? It's never a guarantee. We never know what the future holds if you just get a bad rap. But what I can tell you is that if you follow the program, you're going to be positioned extremely well, better than anything else that I'm aware of is going to position you to go out there and convince employers that you deserve a shot.
Look, with Talent Stacker, you get the toolbox. You get top of the line Craftsman Snap-on tools. You still have to build the house. Sorry.
Yep,
yeah,
that's right.
I really like that last point about it's not going to give you everything. I guess a good analogy is like they'll kind of hold your hand on the way in to that first job, which is the hardest thing to get into, is just starting. But you kind of have to walk yourself, bring something to the table. I am guilty of that. Like when I first asked about the program, I asked Bradley, I just wanted to know, like, is there like, I thought I saw the word guarantee somewhere, and they're like, no, like I can't walk you into an interview and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, okay, I mean, you're saying everything short of that. All you're saying is I need to put in the effort and want to learn and do everything. They're going to provide everything else you need. You just need to want to engage with all of it. And that leads me, so for me personally, I mean, the structured program was huge. I wasn't certified. I hadn't even started Trailhead yet, but also just the community too. And I've been also guilty of kind of when I've been leaning into the new career, lately I've kind of taken like a little bit of a step back, just like I need to focus and get my head right and do this, that, and the other, but they're not going anywhere. Everyone's going to want to help each other out and just don't forget that, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's common. At least I know I did. I'm not sure who else on. Maybe we can do a show of hands. But when you got that first job and you started drilling into that, was it just me? Did everybody fall off the cliff on Salesforce, social interaction, the whole 9 yards? Because you're sitting up to here on water and you're trying to figure out where the hell your snorkel went.
Of course.
I'm still there.
Exactly.
I lived with LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn was it. That was a part of my Salesforce journey. And then when I got my job, I'm like, well, I definitely do not have time for this. And I need to study for the next certification, and I'm just trying to breathe. So no, I mean, I can get on there when I can. So
yeah, anyone who's been in the Talent Stacker program for a while saw my. Oh.
It was good
Yeah,
from the start. I was like, wow, this is really impressive. You see people to post every week.
Well, I try to jump in every now and then just to say, welcome new members, because it's part of the group. Or if they do something on LinkedIn, I'll try to do that as well. Just acknowledge them and give them a nudge that I'm here. And Jackie, I remember we were in a group once, and everyone's like, well, "Where'd you go?" And you're like, "I got work now, man. I got stuff I gotta do."
new career, learning.
Yeah, I feel you for sure.
I think it's important to reinforce though, like if you're out there and you're looking at the Talent Stacker group and want an opinion on it, feel free to message me. I will answer. I'm not on it 100% all the time, but if you have questions or if you need advice or a reference for a tool or something to study, feel free to message.
Yeah. Likewise. Yeah. I may not be posting everywhere. I may not be, on LinkedIn all the time or Facebook or whatever case it may be. Ain't nobody got time for that no more. But message me. I will see it and I will respond.
Yeah, I'm addicted, and I will have to respond. I even respond to those bot recruiters too.
Oh,
I'm like, thank you so much for reaching out. I'm not interested right now, but yeah.
I know somebody who is.
But yeah, I have problems. I can't not respond to messages, so
I do that.
It's a notification icon on my freaking status bar. I can't. I got to get rid of it.
I love it when I go and I check the messages.
Yeah.
Sorry, I check to see who's on LinkedIn when I see that green dot or something. Like I can get them, and I message them just because I know they're there. Yeah,
that's funny. That's
big thing for me. Don't just say hey. Please don't do that.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to answer. Lead in. Brad said the same thing. Lead with something relevant. Hi, I saw you were a member. I want to know what your experience is. So.
mm-hmm.
I think the type of messages that have had the most impact on me are people that I think it was a long time ago when I posted I was studying for an exam. People messaged me study materials, what they studied and stuff to help me. That's
nice.
That stuff stuck with me, and those are the people I built relationships with.
I've shared me and Stuart's notes. Hey, I have notes you would have studied. People internal to my own company are still studying for the admin exam. I have notes. You want to borrow them?
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say this. Conversation is a two-way street. So to Ashley's point, hey, what's up? Something generic like that? Hi? But if you lead off with, hey, I looked at your profile and ... or I heard this, and I'd like to get your opinion, or give me something to actually respond to. Give me a piece of meat to sink my teeth in. I'm a carnivore, damn it. I'm a carnivore.
Yep. I'm an introvert, so conversation it doesn't come easy for me. So you have to pull it out of me.
Yeah, exactly. Small talk. Nobody has time for small talk. I don't get paid to do small talk. Give me real conversation.
Is that a theme?
Good to share.
Is the introvert a theme? I'm sorry, motorcycle chiming in.
Yes.
Is the introvert a theme? Because I know you're an introvert. Stuart's an introvert. Anita.
Who's an introvert? Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not surprised. I've been studying that kind of thing lately. It's you don't I don't know. It just means you're not always wanting to be in the middle of every conversation. But if you are in one, it's because you really want to be there.
Yeah, it's the conversation needs to be meaningful and poignant. I think that's a common theme with most introverts. I'm not going to say y'all, but for me personally, if you want to pull me into a conversation, make it a real conversation. I don't care about the weather. I can look outside. Thanks. And understand we all need breaks. After this, I plan on crawling under my desk with the lights off and cuddling my teddy for a minute.
Yeah, see, that's so funny. And we don't have to harp on this, but I'm definitely an extrovert, like beyond. Like,
No. What?
Yeah,
I want to
Mr.
be the center of
Obnoxious down
attention. Like, I need to be the center of attention. And I hope that doesn't come off like arrogant, but I do like the, I like to feel that, I guess that's how I get my like feeling of need. Like my meaning is out of people needing me, I guess. So that's really interesting. And it's so funny because you're like, you're going to go crawl under your desk and I'm going to like go call a friend and tell him how awesome the live was. Like I need to talk to somebody else about how great this was. It's going to be awesome.
I'll go into a dark room and turn on the Calm app.
I think you should call Anita. She wants to talk to you about it.
I'm gonna conference call you guys. Wasn't that awesome? Yeah, and I'll ask real quick just while I've got you guys. How many of you participated in volunteer projects, and do you think that benefited your ability to move forward? Like to me, it's like
100%.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You get the volunteer project, and it's got to help you talk in interviews and all that fun stuff.
Don't even bother finishing the question. Yes, real world experience is always going to trump Trailhead. End of story, full stop. And that goes for the nuts and bolts. That goes for interacting on team. That goes for learning roles. That goes for how you can speak to what you have done.
Yep.
All of it. I don't care what it is. Real world trumps Trailhead. Done.
I liked working on the project a lot. If I had the opportunity to do it again, I had some really nice teammates, really nice. And no one was saying like, okay, what do you want to do? And everyone was hemming and hawing, right? So I just said that I would do certain things to get the program started. I would have, if I had the opportunity to do it again, I would have given myself harder tasks. Like done some more of the gritty work. I think I did the superficial work. Kind of, the page layouts and a few things. I learned something about eDocs and things like that, but I certainly would have gone with the heavier work.
Yeah, that was a fun part about my team is everyone wanted to do the stuff that they were the worst at and needed the most help with. So that's kind of how I want to do security because I'm not that great at security. Okay, well, I guess you're doing security, so on and so forth. And it went around that. I wound up doing, I guess, project lead or whatever the case may be, simply because I don't have any experience leading a technical team. So, cool. I'll try it. Why not? What's the worst that can happen?
Excellent. Any last words? I know you guys are all introverts and ready to hop off of this and climb under your desk. Pretty clear there. So any last words, anything anybody want to mention to the folks here listening that are still looking for those first Salesforce jobs, and they're on lives like this, hearing from you guys to try to figure out what that next step is. So any last words before we wrap it up?
For any of you hesitating, just do it. Just join Talent Stacker. Like I hesitated for a bit because I was like, oh, this is a lot of money. But now I'm just like, well, that was dumb. I should have just signed up instantly.
Anita, can you give us out your code right now so people can use it when they sign up?
Anita R0CXS5TA4.
Well, there's two things. If any members or non-members, you can look me up on LinkedIn and ask for help or some ideas. I'll do the best I can to help you, or put you in the right direction or connect you with the right people. Second, this is a group of I think I said it's a Sebohana. It's a supportive group. It's a good group, and I encourage you to join.
Same here. Definitely reach out to me because it was a struggle, and you may be in a stage in your life where you feel like I can't do this, but you can. It's definitely possible. You just have to put a bit more effort. Just reach out to any of us.
Look, I'll say this. Whether you join Talent Stacker, whether you don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Nothing can make your situation any worse than wherever you are right now. The only direction you can go is forward. Own that and understand it. You have to be able to get out there. Networking is the name of the game when it comes to this stuff. Second thing I'll say is, again, real world trumps Trailhead. Do the Trailhead projects. Do those super badges. Get to them. Bang your head against wall on them. Get frustrated. Get excited when you win. Build orgs. What is it? Developer.salesforce.com/sign up. Get an org. Play in it. Use it. And make it your own. And reach out. Reach out to me. Reach out to everyone on this panel. Reach out to everyone you see dancing around in the chat right now. Reach out. Get that Ohana vibe going. It's essential and it's excellent.
Yeah, I agree. Constant learning to grow on what you know, but also sharing what you know. I wanted to touch upon the LinkedIn thing about like posting consistently so you can grow your brand and share that you know what you're talking about. But also, if it feels overwhelming, like there's nothing wrong with taking a week or even a couple weeks, but just knowing that coming back to it is how you're gonna kind of dive deeper into the ecosystem. And the more people you know, the quicker you're gonna move. You can't fire off 1,000 applications anymore and not talk to anyone. It doesn't work like that anymore. So that's huge.
I think Brad said, if you can't go through the front door, knock on the back. Networking's your back door, guys. Talent Stacker, Salesforce in itself, making that career pivot is all an investment in yourself. So if you're trying to decide, is Salesforce for me, or do I want to use Talent Stacker as a means to get there? What's your return on investment? What is it? What's your why? For me, it was a lifestyle change. Wasn't necessarily about the money, but now I get to, see my family regularly. I get to sleep at night and be up during the day. I'm not a social butterfly, but I get to do normal people things now.
Ashley, you got to tell real quick the story. Your first week after you started going camping or whatever. What was it? Kayaking or something along those lines?
Kayaking.
You went on like this. No, you went on like this weekend vacation. You were super excited. I saw it on LinkedIn.
Oh, I posted on. Yeah, my sister invited me to Florida.
Yeah.
She was going on vacation. And I work from home now. And she said, hey, do you want to go with me? It's just me and my kids. And I agreed. And I went and we saw the Atlantic side of Florida and we saw the Gulf. And it was great. The kids had a good time. I worked and it was amazing.
There
you go.
Yeah. There's a lot of freedom that comes with these remote Salesforce jobs. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for all the positivity and all the advice that you've given to so many people. And whether or not you join Talent Stacker is beside the point. This is all designed for all of you just to get that positivity and to get that motivation and to hear from people who have had success so that you can follow in their footsteps. So we definitely hope to hear from you, and we hope you got value out of this. And truly, thank you everyone for spending your evening, talking to everybody about these topics.
Anita, was that a mic drop or here?
No, this was a mic drop because they were posted in the private chat. I was going to do it, but it's kind of expensive and it's stuck in this thing.
All right, that's enough, Anita. We can hear it. All right. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Good talking with you all.
Bye, y'all.
Guys.
Bye.